Hello everyone, my name is Jerry. Today I'm going to do my very first top 10. Right, so I wanted to do a top 10 of things you need to do to get started in cosplay or costume making or anything like that. Now this is just my personal top 10. I'm not going to do them in any particular order. A lot of things are easy to get hold of, some of them might be a little bit harder, but if you're committed, and you really like doing this sort of thing and you want to get into it, these are the sort of things that will get you started. Right, so let's get into it. Number 10. Right, as I said before, they're not in any particular order, okay? So I'm going to start with number 10 is a heat gun, right? Any old cheap heat gun. I got this from Argos when they were still going. And right now I'm sitting on the cable down there, so there we go. This was, I think, 19 or 18 euros. There's a couple of adjustment things on it. There's two different heat settings at the back. You don't need an expensive one, but a hairdryer won't work on foam. You can't heat seal the foam with a hairdryer, and you can't heat form the foam with a hairdryer. Also, if you're doing a bit of sanding and there's, like, say, fuzzy bits left over, a hairdryer will not get rid of the fuzzy bits. A heat gun will, or it'll get rid of most of them anyway. So I suggest you invest in a little heat gun. This one's just a plug-in one. You can get a wireless one wherever you want. Don't need an expensive one. As I said, they're fairly cheap. I got this for 20 quid or less than 20 quid. And they're so handy for many different applications, like heat forming, heat sealing, opening up lines when you're using, like, an X-Acto knife, putting in lines, giving you definition and detail. Very, very essential. Now, number 9 is a sharp blade. You're always going to need a good sharp blade for cutting your foam. I have a couple here. I have a broken utility knife for some reason, but this is basically what you'll be looking for. One with a disposable, not disposable, but changeable blades, right? If I can get the back off, push that way. Yeah, there you go. Now, if you're starting out on your own, get your parents to help you with it. If you're old enough to do it on your own, fine, that's fair enough, but just bear in mind that these blades are very, very sharp when they come out, like super razor sharp. They will cut through your finger or anything like that really quickly, so be careful with it, okay? I also have, let me show you here, I have a little disposal jar. It's taped up, or at least it used to be taped up, for all my old blades, because you don't just want to throw the old blades in the bin, because if they're in a normal plastic bag or even a cardboard box, when you throw them out, they will cut through it, and whoever's throwing them out will get cut. So your best thing to do is to have, you can buy little sharp boxes online with plastic lids to close, like, but I just used an old jar and I put duct tape on it. I don't know why the duct tape is gone. And you just put the old ones in there. When it's full, tape the hole up, tape this up as well, and throw the whole jar in the bin. That's your easiest, your best bit, okay? I have a couple of different types of blades here too. It's just an X-Acto blade. I have one here that no, there's no blade on it. I also have the one that Will sent me, the green Ryobi one, which is brilliant. I have a little smaller one. It's just for, smaller kind of areas. X-Acto blade. I also have this sharpener again. My friend online, Will, sent me. You can get cheap sharpeners around, but this, the Kershaw one, is brilliant. It's very good at sharpening. It keeps it. You don't really need to do, let me see, when you're sharpening something, right, don't hammer at your blade, because you'll just pull bits of metal off and it'll make it jagged. Basically what you want to do is just lay the blade on it, slide it across one way, slide it across the other way, and then that will be sharp. That's it, a couple of times, and that's all you need, right? Make sure to keep your blade sharp, because foam dulls sharp blades really quickly. If you're cutting cardboard, foam, if you're trimming plastic with it, anything like that, it will dull it really quickly, so make sure to keep them sharp. Now the next one is glue, right? This is number 9, or number 8, Jesus Christ, I'm going to lose my mind here. Number 8 is glue. Now again, as I said, these are no particular order. It's not, these is the essential way of having them, but you do need a good glue, right? So you can always use hot glue, which is what I have here. The little tubes go in the back here. Let me see. I have a multitude of different types of glues, right? I have so anyway, we'll start with the hot glue again, right? So it's just these little tubes. You have a machine, put it through, go. Hot glue has its ups and downs. Ups is it's really quick and easy to use. It's non-toxic, so you don't have to wear a mask or anything like that with it. But if you use hot glue and you're in a really hot area like a con, or if you're outside in the sun, the hot glue will melt and your costume will fall apart. So when you use it sparingly or on certain things that you know might not get direct heat to it. There's also 2-part epoxy, which I only really use for kind of like putting on straps and things that you know that are going to like need a good bit of like a good bit of, what do you call it, something I can't think, my brain's gone. But 2-part epoxy is very, very strong. It's like when it cures, it's like rock hard, okay? When use it sparingly. I would only use it for straps and braces and things like that, something that's going to be like pulled on more often than not, okay? Then you have super glue, good old super glue, used for small parts, rivets, you know, putting on tiny bits of foam like that. You don't want to put a load of contact cement over them. Super glue is really handy, and this one, Steve gave me this super glue and it's brilliant. Gorilla Glue is this polyurethane expanding glue. It's good for if you're putting, like say, a tube down and you can't get to the bottom of it. So let's say you put a bit of glue down the bottom, put the thing on top, then this will expand overnight and grab a hold of it and keep it in place. Like, it takes a while to dry. I wouldn't use it on, say, gluing 2 parts together like a helmet, because you have to hold it there until it sets, and this takes a long time to set, especially if there's no air or water getting at it. But it's very strong and very good. Okay, so the next one is contact cement, right? So I have some in here in me brush glue pot thingy, right? This is what I have here. This is Soudal. You can get like Evo stick, and in America they have what's the stuff in America called? Oh, whatever it's called in America, it's contact cement is what you have. It's toxic though, okay? Now I know on the channel I've used this without using a mask, and I shouldn't, and the only reason I do it is because I have a problem with my nose and I can't smell very good, so I don't smell it, and I know it's toxic. So you need to use a mask, a vapor mask with, like, you know, filters in it, because it's toxic. If you're doing it outdoors, maybe you're okay, like it's not too bad, because you know the fumes will dissipate, or if you have an open window and a fan, it mightn't be too bad. But I would really suggest when using this, use a filter mask, okay? Not just a crappy little dust mask or any of that sort of stuff, a proper filter mask, right? But this stuff is brilliant. You paint it on one side, paint it on the other side, wait for it to get a little bit tacky, and it sticks together like stickers. It's the best thing for making helmets and body armor and things like that, like, because it's really easy to apply, and it sticks great. Like once it's stuck together, 99% of the time, if you pull it apart, it will pull your foam apart, because foam is weaker than the glue. But I suggest you get good contact cement. So the next one is paint, right? So paint has many different applications for it. It gives a good coat to it. It adds a lot of detail, you know, if you're weathering or putting on, like, you know, damage and all that sort of stuff. Paint is very essential. You have let me see, I have this black hex fleck for undercoats, and then I have all this other paint here. I have jars and jars up here that I got. Paint is one of the essential things for the last part of your costume, like, you know what I mean? So once it's sealed and heat sealed and it has all your other stuff on it, I would get a good quality paint. You can use acrylics, you can use spray paint. Spray paint tends to crack though if you have it on foam that's like bending, or if you're moving something, the spray paint will crack when you're bending it. So tend to use like flexible paint, like acrylic and things like that. Like, and you can get oil based paints which are good for doing your accents and your, you know, weathering and things like that. Oil based paint is great. Well, there's lots of different types. I mean, I have spray paint, I have black paint, I have different colour paint, and you can mix paint, you can use waters, but paint is an essential thing for it. You can get away with not using paint if you say your costume is white and you use white foam, but then it'll be very plain. I still recommend painting the white foam, because you could put your details on and your weathering and all that sort of stuff. So paint. Now the next one is sealers. I should have really done sealer before paint, but as I said, it's no particular order. This is just matey uppy stuff, like, right? But a sealer is something you would put on the foam before you paint, right? This is, I'm only opening it because it's airlocked, but this is Flex Seal. I got this off Cosplay shop.be and I love this stuff. The only downfall of using something like this is brush strokes, because when you paint it on, there's a lot of brush strokes on it. It's brilliant though, because it really will seal in the foam. Gives it a good kind of sheen and a good texture for when you put your paint on top of it. You can also use Plastidip, which I'm out of, and then I have other spray sealers that I've gotten from polyprops.com. They have some great Plastidip alternatives. You can get it in grey, black and white. So if you're painting, like, say, bright colours, you'd use white sealer, and if you're using dark colours like silver and loads of other stuff, you'd use black sealer. Grey is kind of a mid in the middle if you were using a diff. Say if you're using black and kind of bright colours, then you would use the grey sealer. I also have this stuff, black paint Hex Flex. It's technically black paint, but it's a good sealer, okay? It's like kind of half glue, half paint. Not sure that's exactly what it is, but that's what I think it is, and it's great. Because if you're using light foam and you paint it on, you can see where you've painted and you can see what else you need to go over. A couple of coats of this sort of stuff and a few sprays of Plastidip will have your costume ready for paint. Right, so I think I'm on number 5 now. I'll find out what number I'm on when I'm editing it. But the next one is a rotary tool. Now I've got a few of these. I've got plug-in ones, I've got older ones, and the older ones are falling to bits. I've got a little handheld one that I lost the charger for, but the best one is this rotary one. It's the best one I've ever had. So these are used for sanding seams, sanding edges to make, you know, so they're not sharp, so you have a little curve on edges. You can do battle damage, lots of different things with a good rotary tool. There's different attachments. So right there I've got a sanding drum that is a medium grit sanding drum, and then I have smaller sanding drums that are like, you know, high grit and low grit. I also have little drills. I have grinder bits, which are these here. You can see this one's worn out to shit because I've used it so much. Grinders are like little kind of almost stone like bit. They're good for see, if you use it just a high grit sander, it will leave a lot of texture and a lot of fuzzy bits, and the stone bits don't leave the fuzzy bits. It doesn't take foam off, like it doesn't grind it down as much as, you know, say when you're sanding it takes off a lot, but when you're grinding with the stone bits it doesn't take off as much. Also I have this one here. It's like a little wire brush that's good for adding battle damage and details. So invest in a good one of these. This one cost me a couple of £100. I think it was €150, but you can get cheap ones, you know. As I said, my first one I got for, I think it was €45. Got it on Argos back in the day. It was a big chunky thing though. It was really hard to use because it was heavy, you know, but it did the job. It had lots of different attachments and details in it. I like this one because it's got a small detail thing and it's wireless as well, so you can just charge up, actually put it in. When you're using a rotary tool, if you have one that's like high quality, they will spin in both directions, like, but this one only spins in one direction. So when you're doing a bit of foam, let me see if I can get here some bit of foam. So say you're rounding over a bit of foam like this, right, going this way, mine spins in that direction, so you go with the direction it spins. If you pull it back the other way, it may very well grab the foam and tear a bit of detail off, or rip the foam and maybe ruin it. Too hard to fix, like. So generally go in the same direction. As I said, you can get some that spin in both directions, but you know, we're not all bloody millionaires. And just go with the same direction. They're very good for adding in, like, you know, or for, like, you know, filling in gaps and stuff. So if your seams are out, or if something you put together has a little bow in it, you can sand that down and smooth it out so it looks very flush. So rotary tool, get that back in there. Rotary tool, very good to invest in a good rotary tool. Now the next one is the actual foam for making your projects. Now you can make like costumes and props. I've seen people making stuff out of cardboard and warble it and different types of plastic. Cardboard, free, easy, happy days. Doesn't have as much detail as the likes of foam. Warbler has a great amount of detail. You can melt it and bend it and use it like, you know, like in smaller details. You can put it into blobs, and when it solidifies after you've used the heat gun on it, it adds some great detail. But Warbler is very expensive. Then again, you can use cheaper kind of thermoplastics and things like that. But again, I've never really ventured that far out into using plastics, like, because I really like using foam. It's easy. You can get different types of foam, right? So just see this here. I put high duty or heavy duty foam on this side, and that's just the lower density foam. Okay. Lower density foam is good for undershorts, you know, it's good for underknee. It doesn't have a lot of detail on the front side because it soaks up all the sealer, and you know, it's not as fine as the other one, whereas this one's fine, so the paint much easier. I have there's a bit of 5mm. I also have a big giant chunk. Can't remember where I got this. This is like what, 30mm or something like that. Can't remember where I got that. But the places that sell this type of foam would be, I get mine off polyprops.ie. I also get a lot of it from Arachnid FX, that's in Ireland as well. In Europe you've got cosplayshop.be, they've got low density and high density foam. In America I think they have HD foam, that's from Steve from SKS Props. There's lots of different options, like, you know. Invest in maybe a couple of different thicknesses of foam, like, you know, because you can use 2mm for details and 5mm for costumes, and maybe 10mm for, like, you know, thicker pieces that make it look like it's like, you know, heavily worn and things like that. But just get different types of foam. If you don't want to invest in the good foam straight away, start off with the cheaper low density stuff, and then, you know, if you make mistakes you won't be too bothered if you lose a bit of that, like, you know. But I'd be annoyed if I lose the good stuff, like, you know. But start off, like, you know, with the, as I said, with the low density stuff. It's really cheap for a roll of it. You can get 1 meter by 1 meter, and it's probably 10 to 15 euro for a roll of it. Yeah, so invest in some good foam. Yeah, foam. Now the next one is patterns, right? So there's lots of different patterns out there. You can get patterns from YouTubers. You can get patterns on Etsy. I've seen a lot of good patterns on Etsy that don't have their own YouTube channels. They just make good cosplay costumes and they sell their patterns online. I don't necessarily like buying patterns, because even though a lot of them are great, a lot of the ones you buy online are absolutely brilliant, and I've done it before, but I don't think a lot of YouTubers and people on Etsy understand the rules. You shouldn't really be selling a pattern for, say, a Star Wars helmet when you don't own the rights to the Star Wars helmet. You know, they should be free. If you're selling a pattern for something that you just made yourself that's not an existing property, then you can sell that to the cows come home. But there is a lot of good YouTubers out there that sell, or not sell, that give away patterns for free. So you've got Steve from SKS Props gives away a lot of free patterns, and most of his patterns that are free are, you know, already existing properties. Same with Punish Props. Same with Punish Props. They do a lot of free patterns that would be existing stuff, you know, like stuff that he wouldn't have the rights to. Now he does sell some patterns, but they would be like, you know, he sells a mannequin, you know, a pattern for making your own mannequin. That's 100% fine to, you know, to sell them, because he doesn't own the rights to them. But I think Odin has the best patterns around. Much Props, so they say, Much Props, SKS, Punish Props, and a few others do give them away for free. But Odin Makes has the best set of patterns around. You know, after he makes something, he puts it in PDF and puts it online, and you can download it for free. And I've used a lot of them on, say, like, you know, there's some there that I've made. I've made a lot of the ones up here. You probably see them up at the back. Like, most of them are Odin's patterns. All you need to do is go in, log in, download them, print them out, put them onto foam, and cut them, and you're getting going. So patterns, make sure you get a good pattern. With that being said, the patterns go along with the tutorials. So Odin will give away the pattern for free, but he'd also do a tutorial video. So you could download the same pattern and use, or watch the video along with the pattern and make it as you go. I've done that before when I was starting out. Before I got into actually, you know, making my own patterns, which I've started to do lately. So, you know, watch the tutorials. He goes into in-depth, you know, step by step, showing you what he uses, what type of cuts he would use, what type of glue he would use. He shows you mistakes and, you know, steps how to get over them. Painting tutorials. Odin is great for it. So is Much Props. They goes. Thomas is his name. Thomas Hanna from Much Props. He goes into a lot of detail. You know, showing you how he made props, or show you made patterns, and he shows you. He does give away all of his patterns are free. He doesn't charge anything for any of them. Punish Props. They don't make a lot of videos anymore, Punish Props, but they do have free patterns, and they do have good tutorials. So watch the tutorials, you know what I mean? Even if you have to watch the tutorial maybe a couple of times, or rewind it and stop it and play it, just to kind of go along with it. Like if you miss bits or, you know, certain details, you can always rewind it, go back to a certain part, make that bit, and then play forward. And, you know, tutorials are great. Right, and number one, this is the main one that I think everybody should have, and it's confidence. Right, when I started out, I didn't really have a lot of confidence in making it. Like, you know, when I wanted to start my channel, I was thinking about, you know, this big grand channel that I had, you know, this massive studio built up with lights and different cameras and all, and I put it off and off and off because I didn't have the confidence to start without the good studio. And then one of my friends, Danny, just said, you know, basically gave me a kick in the arse and told me to, you know, get some confidence and you know, just do it and start off, and then you can build up. So that's why I'm starting in the little room that I have here. It's all about confidence. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. Don't let anyone tell you that, you know, this is for nerds, or this is, you know, this is for losers, or any of that sort of stuff. Cosplay is for everybody. You know what I mean? And if you're really into it and you really like it, just have a bit of confidence. Doesn't matter if it doesn't turn out the way you want. I've often had props that I've made, props and help and stuff, that didn't turn out the way I wanted, and sure, I was a little bit miffed and annoyed, but it's all about building it up confidence. You start off low, build something that might not turn out great, and then just keep going, and eventually you'll just keep getting better and better and better, and eventually you will love what you do. You know, that's what I do. I love doing this. This would be a dream come true if I could do this full time. You know, as a job. Even if I made just barely enough money to keep going, I would gladly do it. That's how much I love doing cosplay, and love making videos, and love making props and things like that. Like, you know, and there's so many stuff that I've made before I started to film, you know. But at the end of the day, everyone needs a little bit of confidence. Talk to your friends. Maybe your friends can help you out, like Danny did me, and Dave and my wife and a few other people kind of, like, you know, egged me on and gave me a bit of confidence to go on. Doesn't matter if they don't turn out exactly like you want. There's a lot of mine that haven't turned out exactly like I wanted them to. As long as you're happy, just jump into it. And if you need any help, if you need anyone to talk to you about it, or if you need anyone else to give you a bit of confidence, I'm your man. Give me a shout in the comments. Right, that's the end of the video. If you like it, give me a like, give me a subscribe. If there's anything you think I can build or should build, slap in the comments below, and I'll get back to you. Good luck. Gorilla Glue is this kind of polyurethane, so I'll do paint next and then I'll go back to seal it. God damn it. I don't even know why I had the top camera on and not even using it. Bloopers. If you like it, give me a comment, give me a subscribe. If anything you think I can build or I should build, slap it down below in the comments and I'll get back to you. Good luck. Maybe should I do that again? That sounded a bit shit, didn't it? Doesn't sound like I normally do. It's not like Odin's tag, you know what I mean? And there's plenty of ways you can build something, but this is how Odin makes. That's a good bleeding line.